Hello, hello. Welcome to another five-star edition of Props to Consider and Then Maybe Bet here on the MMA Engine. I'm your guy, Lou Betya. Thanks for tuning in and spending some time with us on a Thursday. If you haven't already, please give the video a like, subscribe to the MMA Engine channel. Great DFS content with Brady, Weezy, and Monk, breaking down bets, lineup strategies, everything else you could want for your fight week. Without further ado, I am joined by a guest this week. I'm very excited that I have him on the show. From the Dogger Pass podcast and Mayo Media Network, doing other shows there as well. Paul Shaughnessy. How are you doing, Paul?
I'm good, man. Good, man. Just the weekly grind as always. Doing, Dogger Pass is just one part of the puzzle for me every single week. Most of my time gets spent with, Pat Mayo and Tim Andercust and the other lunatics that we have on the airwaves at Mayo Media Network. It's really refreshing this week just having a card that, like, top to bottom, you're like, I can't miss really any of this. Like, I don't miss any of the fights in general, but, like, outside of, like, Rosa versus Landsberg, that's like, I mean, I have money on it, but it's like, I don't, if I missed it, I would be okay. It's like every other fight on this card I'm very excited about.
Gotcha. And that'll be at what, 8 a.m. for you? So
I'm out here in Atlantic time, which is like the forgotten time zone.
Okay.
East of Eastern time. I don't know what time the card starts, but it's early enough. I think like 10 a.m. I guess. 7 hours difference. I think it starts at 5 over in Abu Dhabi, so it's
okay. So if you get up a little late for that one, that's not the worst thing in the world. But
No.
if you guys are watching and you haven't watched the NFL show on the Mayo Media Network, I highly recommend it. It's a lot of craziness. You don't have to be a big football fan. There's just a lot of silliness going on, highlighted by the fact that when these guys say crazy things, you can hear Paul off camera losing his mind, which always cracks me up at some of the things that Dr. Andercust brings up, like his craft beer stance, which I would just say, go watch this whole thing from yesterday. It was Tuesday night.
If you're tuning into the Spread Pick show on Mayo Media Network for the actual picks, you're probably doing it wrong. Like, they do a good job of, like, breaking them all down, but it's more about the nonsense in between. Cuss Corner every single episode. I mean, the funniest thing, people always ask me, they're like, is Andercust real? It's just like, it's as real as it gets. It seems like it's a gimmick and it's like something that we propped up for years, but, like, I don't know. Some people just have the death touch, and Tim is one of those people.
You have shown me certain things that made me believe that absolutely he is 100% real in his thoughts, and thinking that some craft beer is, as he put it, hot garb, I believe was his actual tweet. But without further ado, let's get into this. We're just going to break down quick analysis and some of the crazier props that we're getting to this weekend or about to get to, and we will end with a yam bag prediction. Paul did not know I was going to have him pick one, but I got mine all ready to go. We'll see what he comes up with. Paul, why don't you start us off with one of your props?
All right, one of the props I'm on, we're not talking too greasy here, but, I mean, you go back, you watch Makhmud Muradov versus Gerald Meerschaert. Of course, yes, Muradov successful in the early portion of that fight. He's very, very, light on his feet, decent combinations when he gets in there and strikes. Baralho can be had by submission in at plus 460 is the highest that is out there right now. Just the ability that this guy seems to have to, one, get to people's hips, and then two, finding ways to get to people's back. Even like reversing the takedown from Gadzi in their fights and then ending up on top. Like, the guy put in, there's like pictures of him and Damian Maia training together as far back as like 2015. This guy's legit. I know that, he's went to decision in these other fights, but it's like Muradov, if he gets off to a quick start, doesn't put Baralho away, and we haven't seen any problems with Baralho's chin. It's like if Baralho gets him to the ground, he gets to that backpack, and we have, 9-10 minutes of time on the back. I wouldn't be surprised for, Muradov to look for the door. That's kind of what happened against Meerschaert, where he flat out, like, once he wasn't able to put Gerald away, he kind of just folded like a cheap 10 in round 2. So Baralho by submission, plus 460 is the best out there. There's some plus 300s. I wouldn't really jump on those. But yeah, obviously, as always, do some price shopping and secure the best price you can get. The best price I can get right now, because I'm up here in Canada where they've legalized in certain provinces, but I live in the East Coast where everything comes to last. The best price I could get was plus 400, and I still took it. But there's better prices out there than what I even have.
There's meat on the bone with the plus 400 for sure. I may as well throw this one out there too. I don't need to go over this prop then. Not only am I on the sub, but I took the round 2 sub plus 1100. For a lot of the reasons you just brought up. That's when Meerschaert got him out of there. His win condition's probably going to be the first 3-4 minutes of the fight when he's coming at him. And Coyote could take him down and get him down in 30 seconds. I don't think that's inconceivable, but he weathers the storm. He gets control. And I think there's a part of, Borralho is now hearing like, look, he's had 2 fights in a row where he looked impressive against Godzi, but he didn't get him out of there. And then the last fight against Arman was, not the most exciting fight, unless you bet Borralho and you just love the 3rd round because you're like, great, just lay on him and there's no danger. But I think he's going to get a finish here. I think that his stock needs to go up a little bit, and I think that's how he knows he'll get it. So I'm with you on that one. Well, while we're speaking of Godzi, I know I heard you guys on Dogger Pass, so I took Godzi in the distance at plus 475. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's some stuff we don't know. He's going to be dropping down in weight, so we'll see what he really looks like tonight on the scales. But this is, and I don't really like betting negatives, but this is just really a fade on Nurmagomedov here. I mean, if his last name's not Nurmagomedov, I don't know what the money line is. You're paying the tax on him, but I just haven't been impressed. He's been beaten. Like there's a lot of fight. I just can't get it out of my mind. There's nothing about him that's really been that impressive. And I don't think he's like typically just a guy that really wants to do 15 minutes to smother it on the ground. So I think Godzy's going to have his chances. I think his power, I'm hoping his power carries down to 170. And honestly, against Borralho, he didn't look awful. He looked okay. And I think that's going to age better and better as Borralho goes through the rankings here. So give me Godzy to get it done at plus 475 in the distance.
I'm going to one up you.
Uh-oh.
I got Godzy by submission.
Really?
Yeah, the David Zawada fight is it's a real telltale sign. It's just like this. That doesn't happen to Khabib. That doesn't happen to cousin Umar. That doesn't, well, unless maybe against Charles Oliveira, because like Charles is on a different level.
Fair.
Against a guy like Zawada, though, it's like that doesn't happen to Makhachev. I've always called him Bad Nurmi. Abu Nurmagomedov is like, he's a Nurmagomedov in name, but it's like he wasn't very good in the PFL. UFC obviously losing to Zawada the way that he did, like it was just like an instant tap as well.
There was no resistance.
Jared Gooden, just like people just misconstrue that this guy's a great wrestler. It's just like, look at the stats, watch that fight. It's like it was relatively like low output striking affair between the two of them, and he took him down once. It's just like, what do you think the game plan should have been there? It's like, take this guy down, hold him down, and do. But I don't know if maybe he thinks that he doesn't have a gas tank to do that for 15 minutes.
I think that might be.
Godzy, we're getting the fact that he just got like taken down, controlled, mauled by Borralho. It's like, I think that's what is dictating this line this week, besides the Nurmagomedov name. But it's like, oh, he got taken down. He got exposed as not being a great grappler. It's just like, no, Borralho actually is like super, super legit. I think Godzy has massive grappling advantages in this fight, and hopefully he can fish for some. He throws some crazy, crazy striking techniques and stuff. So I like inside the distance is obviously a much safer path in this spot, but it sounds like we're on the same spot here.
That sub's definitely live. I looked at it and I still may get to it, but we shall see. So
50s out there last night. Now 900 is the best that you can get.
Well, you and Cody drove the line down. People watch the show.
I took the 900, and then last night I saw some 1050s. I didn't have access to the 1050s. I used to have access to those 1050s.
Gotcha.
But yeah, now it's back down to 9. It's like plus 650 in other places. It's like Abubakar he's a fraud.
Right. You're betting on him making a mistake.
Yeah.
All right. What's your next one?
I guess I skipped over in terms of like tiering it from like,
There's no rules
you
here.
know, craziest to like most straight edged. But okay, most straight edged from here. I think Charles do Bronx Oliveira by TKO is the play here. I think Charles has massive striking advantages. I'm not so sure that Islam is just going to be like, especially early in the fight, I'm not so sure that he's going to be like, I'm just going to take this guy down and go into his guard and hang out there for 5 minutes. Like, he's got Habib in his corner. Habib's not dumb. Maybe if they think that's the only way that he can win this fight, but I'm sure he's been working on his stand-up. I'm kind of picturing these guys going in there. Everyone thinks it's going to turn into a big grappling fest, and it's going to be just two guys kind of swinging on their feet. I can never take the Adriano Martins knockout out of my brain. I've never really loved Islam the way I felt about Habib. Habib's just like so explosive in everything he does. The technique's still there for Makhachev, but I don't know if he has the same explosion. I don't know if his like striking is as powerful, as dangerous. I think Charles, a lot of times when he gets knocked down, and you'll hear people talk about that this week, it's just like he gets hit and then falls to his back because he's like, come on, let's go. Come into daddy's zone here. I don't know. I think in the first couple of rounds, I think Islam's going to try to like anti-wrestle. I think he's probably going to try to stay on the feet. I'd be very surprised if he took them down when they're both dry really, really early. And when they're on the feet, I think Charles can knock out anybody. We've seen on this recent run, it's like this guy is a complete mixed martial artist. He's not a quitter anymore. So the Bronx by KO plus 575 is the best I see out there. I haven't bet that one yet. We'll see where the line goes and how the week progresses. Maybe that'll be like a Saturday afternoon ad if I'm running hot or something like that.
DraftKings has it at plus 550. I'll tell you, I have a bet on that fight as well. I have Oliveira round 3, round 4 at plus 900. I took the round combo. I mean, I also I like the over 1.5 a lot as just a straight play. I think everybody, I don't know why it's so low. I mean, especially at 155, it's weird to me. I see a lot of feeling out, especially in the first round. Like you're saying, you don't think Makhachev's getting a takedown in the first. I mean, if he does, it's probably at the end of the round. I just think it's going to be, this is the biggest fight they've ever had, each one of them. So there's going to be a lot of tentative, like nobody wants to make a mistake. So I think it will go at least into the third round, but I'm with you. I think the longer this stays on the feet, it's advantage Charles. If it hits the ground, it's going to depend on positioning. I mean, Oliveira on top is no joke. Oliveira hunting for subs is no joke. Makhachev on top is, raining down ground and pound is no joke either. But I think the longer this goes, Oliveira has, experience being the champion. He's still the champion. I don't care what they say. He has experience in these kind of really high profile fights. Whereas Makhachev, look, man, fighting Bobby Green and fighting Dan Hooker, this is not exactly that. So I'm with you on the Charles pick. Let me give you my next one I have here. This is a combo play. This is the Tim Troiano special. In the Almeida to Gugov fight, I'm betting the split decision, and I'm betting both of them to win by split decision to back it up for maximum profit. Simply put, I think this fight could play out. I'm going to bet the draw, too, with like a real small poke, but I think the Gugov could take him down the first 2 rounds, control him. He doesn't throw a lot of strikes. He's very low volume. If you look at his resume of the guys he's beaten, it's impressive. But if you look at the stats, you have to actually watch the fight and be like, how did he win this fight throwing 25 strikes? I don't understand it. We're seeing a trend in judging now where they really don't love inactivity on the ground. We're seeing refs more prone to stand people up. But I could see him making it 2 ugly, boring rounds. And I like what I've seen from Almeida's cardio. And he could 10-8 him in the 3rd round. So I could see this being a draw. I could see this being a split decision. So the split decision's at plus 450. DraftKings and Betway have it. I don't know other books offer this, but Tugugov to win by splits plus 800. Almeida is plus 1100. So I'm going to hit all 3 of those and maybe a small $5. I mean, I make $5. It's in a week. It's nothing to me. I can make that kind of money. So just dump the $5 on the draw. And at 50 to 1 odds, I think FanDuel does it at 66 to 1, but most books are 50 to 1. and just root for an absolute 10-8 in the third and hope for the best. That's what I got on that one.
All right.
You're
Should
up.
I go with the heavy hitter obscene number of the week?
Yeah, let's go.
I don't know if you noticed, but there's a certain book out there that is open 365 days of the year. And they got Peter Yan to win by submission.
Oh, I love it.
Round 1, 100 to 1. Round 2, 100 to 1. Round 3, 100 to 1. Now, if you look around the markets, it's around 12 to 1, 14 to 1. If you bet all three of those at the same price, the same amount. Sorry, my dog's barking.
Your dog loves to bet.
Gabby's excited about Yan by sub props. It's 30 plus 32.66 if you bet it that way. So it's like, why would I bet a 14 to 1 at 14 to 1 when I can bet a 14 to 1 at 32 and a half, 30, almost 33 to 1 on that bet? Like, maybe they're just like, we're going to put these out there because, like, you know, Yan has one submission win in his career. But it's like he's been taking on the cream of the crop. It's like, I wouldn't be shocked. Do I think it's like a high outcome or high likelihood outcome? Probably not. No, Yan doesn't really grapple all that much. I wouldn't be shocked if he comes out here, tries to take O'Malley to the ground, like mitigate the fact that he's giving up like 5 inches of reach and O'Malley's like pretty swift on the feet. This guy got taken down 4 times by Andre Sukumantath back in the day. I'm sure
it wasn't even that long. It wasn't even that long ago.
Yeah, it was like, what is it, 2017 or something, 2018? Either way, it's just like, I'm sure he's made massive improvements since then, but this is a massive step up in competition. I wouldn't be stunned to see Yan take him down and sub him, and they're offering 100 to 1 on each one of those props. So yeah, 33 to 1 basically to bet Yan by sub. Does it happen? If they fight 20 times, does Yan get a submission once out of 20?
I think so.
That doesn't sound unreasonable whatsoever. It could be 1 in 10. Like, and that's kind of how you have to think about this bet.
Sure.
Is that, you know, it's priced at 3.5%. If it's 10, you're getting 3 times the value of the bet that you're making. So Yan by sub in that real greasy way, and you know, make that book that is open 365 days a year pay for putting stupid numbers out. And like, I've told tons of people, everyone's been slamming this, so it's like they're collecting it. They have no intentions of moving it right now. So let's make them pay. I did this with the Johnny Walker fight.
I remember you hit like a massive ticket.
Yeah, Kutalaba. It was 66 to 1, 100 to 1, 100 to 1, and it came up to like 28 to 1 on him by submission. He was like 10 to 1, 12 to 1 on the market. I'm like, oh, okay, you get twist my arm. I'll fire at that. So yeah, Yan 33 to 1 by sub.
I think the last time I took a 100 to 1 sub was when the book made a mistake with like Dontel Mays against Hamby. And I'm like, well, I have to take it. It was like 115 to 1. I'm like, well, I have to take it. Yeah. And then it didn't look good. But when I was talking to my council of geniuses that I consult with early in the week to make me look good for these shows, I had said the same thing about Yan submission. I'm like, why isn't there a path for that? Because everyone just assumes he's going to lose the first round. And I'm like, yeah, but this isn't a 5-rounder. Like, who's to say that he's going to do that? And the path of least resistance would be the takedowns. And, you know, look, man, I hit Sadiq Youssef sub 2 weeks ago. He didn't have any subs, but it was a spot where it was possible. And I think this is a spot where the grappling is going to be there. We don't know what O'Malley's get-up game is. So I am right there with you. I had that written down. I took the 1,200. So I'm going to just go right past that and go to my last crazy prop. TJ Dillashaw, round 4 and round 5. FanDuel has a combo 3, 4, and 5. It's plus 1,400, but I don't get out of bed for plus 1,400. Round 4 is plus 2,800. Round 5, 3,500. I didn't add the KO in here. I don't need to get greedy with a price like this. We've seen Dillashaw late in fights just throw tons of combos. Like the Henan Barral fight, he looked good. He comes on strong late. And the one thing that there's a lot of unknowns about this fight. I'm not going to break the whole thing down because we don't really know what Dillashaw is going to look like. But we do know with Sterling, hey, man, there's a trend of him slowing down late in fights. I'm actually going to live bet Dillashaw after round 1. I think we might get like plus 350, maybe better after round 1 if he's just taken down. Doesn't take any damage, but just is controlled. Might get a really good price. And if he wins the first round, I didn't lose any money, and it's fine. But I think as this fight goes on, there's an urgency with Dillashaw. He's like a crazy hick, man. Like he just gives no fucks and like goes out there and you can't like really hurt him that much. Like he can get frustrated, but he'll pour it on. And I think that especially if he's down 2-0, like I assume this fight probably will play out. He's gonna know he can't take any chances. He's got to go for it. And man, if Sterling slows down and Dillashaw starts throwing 70, 80 strikes around, which is capable of, I don't see why that finish isn't in play. So give me Anu, round 4, 2,800, round 5, 3,500.
I like it. I've been considering those late Dillashaw props as well. I'm going to wait until the weigh-ins, I think, before I scoop them up. Like that co-main event is just kind of a fight that it feels kind of 50-50, doesn't it? It's like I'd be pretty surprised if Sterling's just able to go out there and wrestle at will, take down TJ, and just hold him down constantly. So
we'll see.
Very good with his back takes and all of that, but like Dillashaw's not easy to take down and just control.
It's going to be really interesting. I'm really excited for the whole card, but that fight's really interesting because if Dillashaw does win, it's like, well, where do you go from here at his age? Like, how many title defenses could he really have at this weight class? But we'll see. But do you have any more props to add?
Nothing. No, I think that the main event was me. Like anything else that I could say at this point would just pale in comparison to the yawn sub props. Let's make them pay.
So then, in closing, is there one fight on the card that you think is a yam bag special? And anybody that's watched the show knows that means a point deduction. Mm-hmm. If I have to explain what a yam bag is, just use your best imagination contextually. I'm sure people understand it, but what fight on the board do you think is most likely to get a point deduction?
Whew. Really?
I'm going to throw $5 on it for you, by the way. And if it wins, I'm giving you the 100. So like, I'm going to do this with all my guests. Like you're free rolling a shot to the nuts.
Yeah. Who's going to be throwing lots of leg and body kicks? That's really where it comes down to, right?
Well, like Southpaw Orthodox is a good one too, typically. Like
I'm speaking to like the yam bag specialist here, so I don't want to be like dropping. I don't want to look like a complete mook when I'm.
There's no real science to this. I mean, it's
Doesn't Krylov versus Volkan seem like somebody will do something? Mostly Krylov. Krylov's dumb enough that he went into Paul Craig's guard. I could see.
We should. By the way, I know you're taking.
I feel like Krylov trying to take down Volkan could create some fence grabbing situations.
Okay.
Don't hate that.
I should mention I find it ironic that you and Cody are doing a shoey bet on this fight, the Ozdemir Krylov fight, because the last time Ozdemir fought is the only time I ever lost a shoey bet to you. Because I'm an idiot that took Paul Craig and he,
People hate Volkan because it looks like he's waiting in line at like Walmart. Like every moment of his life, he just looks like he is just not impressed and not engaged in whatever is going on. And like he's fighting in his underwear in front of like 20,000 people. It's just like looks like so disinterested. I kind of secretly enjoy him. Yeah, let's go with Krylov versus Ozdemir.
Done.
Is that a Southpaw versus Orthodox situation?
I'm looking it up right now. I don't believe so, but I'm going to look it up right now for you.
What are the Southpaws versus Orthodox?
Orthodox. I don't think there are any on this card. Last card, there were 5.
Wow. Yam bags. Were there yam bags?
No, I lost a lot of money. No. I mean, I think there was like a ball tap, and I was like, ah. So for mine, I'm taking the Peter Yan and O'Malley fight, the Yan bags, if you will. And this is my reasoning and science for it. You have any friends where like everything's a thing? Like you just can't go out to the bar, or you can't, like everything's a goddamn thing. Something comes up. Something's like, oh, well, now I gotta, maybe this is Dr. Andercuffs. I don't know. But like, you can't just like, oh, we're going out to eat. It's like, all right, cool. Can I do my dry cleaning while we're eating? Like, no, dude, like everything. And I feel like O'Malley is one of these guys. Everything's a goddamn thing. The Sukumentov fight was a weird thing. The whole Munoz fight was a weird goddamn thing. Is that possible here? I think like this again, there's no science to this, but really out of everything on the card, I'm like, I was either this or the Almeida fight, and I'm like, but if I pick the Yan fight, then I can say Yan bags, and it's better for like marketing. So I'm just gonna go with that as my pick, and yeah, that's it. So like, hopefully, the nut shot happens early, and then you can get the submission.
And then O'Malley loses, and he can still claim that he's undefeated. I see where your head's at here.
He'll say, well, I didn't get knocked out.
Yeah.
Like, well, I mean, he didn't knock me out. Like, I'm still undefeated. So the Sugar Athletic Commissioner, or whatever he posted last time, breaking news. But that has been the show. That is all our props. Paul, thank you for joining me. And please tell the people where to find you and what you're doing and what wacky memes you're creating in the next few weeks.
I haven't created any memes. We'll be back on the case probably next Contender Series. At Paul Shag on Twitter, at Dogger Pass Pod. You can always, me and Cody have been doing this show for about 10 years. We've been through the ups and the downs, the trials, the tribulations, but we're still coming to you every single Wednesday around like 8 p.m. Eastern. That's the good thing, is that like some people have stopped asking. It's like, when is the show gonna be up? I'm sure you get that all the time. It's just like sometimes it becomes
nobody gives a shit.
Like that they're excited for your show, but you're like, man, for the last year, our show has been up at the exact same time, within like an hour window, basically.
I think part of it is we like harassing Pat Mayo when the show's not immediately up. It's like, what's the problem, Pat? What's wrong?
Well, and I'm usually pretty nice about it, and Pat will just tell you to F off,
He is the face of evil. After lighting that cigarette with the Monopoly piece, that was the face of a man who runs hell, and I loved it. I loved every second of it. Like, I know he's not going to watch this, but his face, and then hearing you and Feinberg like losing your minds it's one of the best things I've ever seen. I didn't care about the picks at that point. I'm like, they're not topping this. They're not topping this.
Very triggered, and that sent him into a tailspin of eating like McDonald's like 12 times in the next 4 days.
But is he playing the game?
He hasn't had any since last Thursday, which I think he's sneaking in coffee. Like, I've been playing a little bit, like, because clearly, Tim's social media, like, he's an influencer, whether he likes it or not. It's like, I have a Monopoly board, and like, I'm celiac, so the only things I can really have are like the hash browns and coffee. But every once in a while, I'll go get a hash brown, maybe 2 hash browns if I'm extra peckish, and a large coffee. And yeah, I mean, we haven't won anything. We won some like photo print stuff, but yeah. Right. Tim is like, I don't believe him. He told me he hasn't had it since Thursday, and I think it's absolutely fraudulent. I just don't think I don't think he's won anything spectacular. He's probably spent a lot of money, and he's probably embarrassed by that. But that's just my hot take.
I forget what the exact quote was, but it was something like Pat saying, it might be Boardwalk. We'll never know. And I'm like, you just hear him tilting.
Oh, that was me in the background. Is that Boardwalk?
Well, thank you for joining the show. I really do appreciate it. And
thanks for having me.
Anybody watching, good luck to you on your bets. Hopefully, if you tailed us and we win, just praise us relentlessly on the Twitter. I need the clout. Paul doesn't, but I certainly do. And we will see you guys next week when Clint McLean joins me on the show for an all new props to consider, and then maybe bet. Take care, guys. Goodbye.